All right, we are back live. Sorry about all that. I don't know what's going on. There's something definitely wrong. I thought I knew the reason, but it's still doing it. Like I'm speaking right now, but I'm not hearing anything like I normally should. And here in a second, it'll start. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right,
I
I hear,
haven't
but
I
I'm
haven't
not
started
hearing
hearing any
myself.
echo yet.
Yeah, I'm not hearing myself. Although I see my little thing making the yeah. So maybe we're okay.
Yeah, you're broadcasting.
All right, great. We're back live again. And yeah, there was an extra. Somehow I had the podcast open not once but twice. So one of
Oh,
them
okay.
was causing that delay loop, and yeah, that was all on me. Everybody, sorry about that. Man, we had like 2 people watching. Crap. Now we're down to 0. I
Hey,
reset
yeah,
it up, and re-put it up on YouTube. So hopefully people will figure it out and come back to it. But who knows?
yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Well,
my
we're
total
still
bad.
learning, man.
Yeah, yeah. This is actually like it's like the 8th podcast total, counting the Saturday night ones that I've been trying to do. Uh, anyway, yeah, that whole overheating was all bullshit. Once the ponies got a hold of it, they ran like crazy, and even some really good Xbox people blew it out of proportion, which is kind of sad. Saying that there is something going on, but it was just because they had the console in a tight space or whatever. I don't think it was even that. I think it's just people love to shit on Xbox, and they're putting out lies, just total lies, and then they're spreading it. And oh well.
It's just like people not understanding how electronics work too. Of course, there's heat coming out of the top of it. That's the whole
Oh yeah,
reason
stick your
why.
hand behind a PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro or an Xbox One, and the heat comes out of them. That's what they're supposed to do.
I mean, does anybody ever say their car's overheating because their exhaust is hot? Of
Yeah,
course not. It's
yeah.
the
Go
same
touch your
thing.
exhaust pipe after you've been on the road for a couple hours.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, it was all garbage.
I will say, I'm probably going to keep it somewhat, away from right out of the front of my TV screen because it's probably not a good idea for exhaust to be blowing upwards onto your screen. So that's something probably to look out for. But
I've got space under mine. They're like cubes that'll hold the Series X, but it's so beautiful. I was going to just set it on top of the TV stand just to the right of the television. I've got plenty of room.
that's
Just
exactly
only
where mine's going to be. I'm just going to have
yeah.
it spaced out from the TV a bit, like about a foot, I think, as much as I can, just to
Well,
keep it
mine's
from
only going to
blowing
be about
straight
an
up there.
inch, inch and a half, but that's more than enough. Uh, yeah, I got plenty of space up there. TV doesn't fill up the stand.
So it's I'm glad to see that we don't need to buy a new toolkit or whatever to be able to flip our Xbox from vertical to horizontal if we want to, or
Yeah, that was a weird design choice for them, but oh well.
yeah. I mean, the whole thing's been kind of weird from the get go, I guess.
It's such a weird shaped console. I think they were afraid that somebody would bump it and it would come out of the stand, so they wanted that thing screwed on because that's probably going to be a really heavy console too with that down heat sink.
Yeah, I expect them both to be pretty heavy, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on inside of there.
Yeah, but at least the Xbox was pretty small, so
Yeah.
people say it's like way smaller in person than what it looks like on YouTube or Twitter. Those pictures do not do it justice. It's really not that big.
If it's to be believed from what I've seen, it's about 3 inches taller than the One X on its side.
I don't think it's even on its side. I was gonna say if you got it upright, it's like an inch taller or something. Not much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Vertically, it's 3 inches taller vertically and about an inch or whatever. No, okay, the other way around. Yeah. So it's not. Yeah, it's not a big giant monster. It's just they made it as big as they needed to make it, which is fine with me. I want it to work at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's plenty of space in there, and so that the air will, yeah, it's not gonna ever overheat. That's just all garbage.
Kind of sad.
Now,
I was ready to get some marshmallows and stuff, and
And
mixing some cores.
there was an original issue of overheating with the PlayStation 5, but they fixed that like 10 months ago, 11 months ago or something when they had to kind of do a quick redesign. And that's why the damn thing's so big now. They needed all that extra space and then the extra large size fan and then they used the liquid metal instead of just regular paste, which Arctic paste would have been more than enough. But they went all out on that. They're making sure it wasn't going to overheat or probably, and I don't think it's going to be too noisy like the PS4s where.
Yeah. I used to work at this little mom and pop game shop in town, and almost every day I'd have somebody bring a PlayStation 4 in and ask me like if I could fix it. And I'd say, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And they're like, "It's so loud." And I'm like, "It's not broken, man. It's just what it sounds like."
My level of gaming was so minor on it. I had never noticed that on my Pro. And then my son took it back to his area to play VR games. And that's all he ever played on is VR games. But I'm sitting now, it's another room technically, but it's an open, not a doorway, but an open, well, I guess there's no door. There's just an open area. You walk and then you make an immediate 90-degree left, and then he's got a little area there that he's got a desk and his computer, and then he had that PS4 Pro in there. But holy crap, when he would be playing that, I would hear the fans kick on, and it was crazy loud. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess the way I game and the games I was playing, I just wasn't overtaxing it, and the fans wasn't kicking on.
You know, oddly enough, the loudest I've ever heard my One X get was playing Fable 2, like a backwards compatible game, and I actually had a lot of problems with that game. It would freeze a lot, and it had audio issues cutting out, and then it really got my console spun up like crazy, which is kind of weird. You wouldn't think that playing an old game like that, it would must be something to do with the emulation or whatever, though. It just
I've
didn't
never
like
even
it.
heard my One X except when I first bought it. For about the first month that I had it, I could hear it making almost like a farting sound where it was expelling. And it was usually just when you first started up.
Yeah.
I guess it was expelling the air that was in there or something. I don't know, but I would hear that and I was kind of like freaked out by it. But as soon as 30 seconds later, a minute later, it wasn't doing it anymore. So I never did anything about it. And then it eventually just wasn't doing it ever any. So I don't know what that was.
I still don't think they've really gotten as much credit as they deserve for the One X. I mean, that thing came out of left field and was a monster. And it just, I haven't heard anybody really having problems with it at all. I mean, I haven't had a pickup problem out of mine.
I've been so torn up over whether just to trade that my One X in. I mean, it's such a beautiful piece of tech or kit. They call stuff like that. It's just amazing. And I kind of hate giving it up. I don't really need it. I've only got one 4K television. Although I may get a second one someday, so maybe I'll want the Series X on the bigger one, and then the current television I got now, keep the One X for it. But I don't know. It's like, and then I sold my pre-order that I got for the PS5, which I'll pick up another PS5 later. Once they actually have them on store shelves next year, and you can actually just walk into a Walmart and buy one, or a Target or GameStop, then I'll get one. But yeah, there's no reason to pre-order because I'm telling you, there's no games for the PlayStation 5. You know, there's Miles Morales, which looks amazing, but again, that's DLC for Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man on the PS4. And then the Godfall will eventually be out on the Xbox. It's not exclusive, just timed. And I'm not one of those people that can't wait. I'm like the Sony players when a Xbox game was announced to be timed exclusive. PlayStation fuckers were like, "Oh, I'll just wait," and they did. They waited, and then they bought the game when it came out. There's something about Xbox dudes. They're such rabid game players that they can't wait. They just say, "Fuck it, I've already got a PlayStation, so I'm gonna buy this game." No, don't fucking be stupid. Stop that. Just wait. I didn't buy Final Fantasy 7. I've got the original Final Fantasy 7 on a PlayStation 1. I've got it on my PlayStation 1 Mini, and I've got it on my Xbox One X that looks pretty damn good to be just the original game. And when this remake version comes out and they drop it on the Series X, then I'll buy it.
Yeah, I don't have really a problem waiting for things for the most part. And I haven't bought a PlayStation since the PS3. Well, that's a lie. I had a PS4 for like a week. And I'll be honest, I bought it in 2013 thinking I could flip it and make some money off of it. I was still kind of like coming out of being a broke college kid back then. And you weren't able to with either the Xbox One or the PS4. There really wasn't any money to be made off those. They were so plentiful. But yeah, I don't think I'll get a PS5. I could be proven wrong, I guess. I've kind of said that the one thing that would probably make me buy a PlayStation is if they ever did a Siphon Filter remaster trilogy, I'd have to buy one because that's one of my favorite franchises ever. I kind of
I'd like to see that too, but as long as, but is that theirs or is that Konami? Or?
No, it was published by Sony Computer Entertainment at the time. I don't know who owns the rights to it now, but I would assume it would be a PlayStation exclusive if it came out. But I mean, who knows? We've seen weird things.
They probably don't own the rights anymore. If they were just the publisher, somebody, but I don't know.
Well, hey, if it's possible, bring that back and bring it to Xbox. Man, I would be a day one buyer of that for sure.
Yeah, I always thought that I knew it wasn't on anything else, but at the same time, I never thought that was an actual Sony game. I thought that was just one of those freebie exclusives they got that, hopefully that more and more is going away.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a fan of exclusives at all. I always kind of try to use the analogy of imagine if Samsung had shows you could only watch on Samsung TVs. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing, or what if there were roads that only Chevy trucks could drive on? I mean, if you make a product that stands on its own 2 feet, you make the best console, why do you need to have exclusive games to sell it? It should just sell because it's good. People should prefer it.
I agree, but that's not the world we live in. So I'm glad they're going to keep those Bethesda games off PlayStation. And not because it needs to be. It's because of what Sony's done over the years in keeping games off of Xbox. I mean, they've actually paid companies not to put shit on Xbox. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I'm glad the Major League Baseball stood up to Sony finally. I'll be getting the show day one for sure. That's something Xbox has been missing is a good baseball game. Because
they've got a couple of baseball games, but neither one are very good. So
RBI baseball is trash. Super Mega Baseball is actually pretty fun, but that's a whole nother. That's like comparing NFL Blitz to Madden, though. It's just
you're talking an arcade type game to a simulator.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I could wave a magic wand, I'd get rid of exclusives tomorrow. Something don't really see as a selling point. There's a couple, I'd like to play God of War. I'd like to play Ghost of Tsushima, but enough to go buy a whole console? No.
Well, now that the generation's over, you could always pick up a PS4 like this coming Black Friday for like $149. I'm thinking. And none of those games need a Pro. The Pro is only out there for VR, and that's the only reason I own that is because I wanted VR. And I knew Xbox was not going to do it. I just had a feeling that they were not going to have VR, and I was right. They didn't, and then so I'm glad I bought the PlayStation VR because I have enjoyed those things, even though I could only play for like little 20, 30-minute spurts. Then I got to get off of it for a while, and then I can get back on for a little bit. Otherwise, it just makes you queasy.
I'll go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully when they do the PlayStation VR 2, that they'll be smart enough to put a whole hell of a lot more money into the lenses and have it be so you don't end up with any kind of motion sickness.
That new Oculus is looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's got 2K resolution per lens, so that should be looking pretty good. I might actually have to try one of those out. I want to try it out on somebody else's dime though. I don't know if I'm gonna drop $400 before I know if I like it or not.
Yeah. Well, its big selling point is it's wireless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 to 3 hour per charge, which isn't too bad. That's few
No,
people
and
play
that's
games for
longer than
longer
you
than
should ever be playing VR. Even
Yeah.
with 2K lenses, that's still not. Yeah, that's not. That's not enough. You need a higher quality. Yeah, you just do, but they're not. That would cost too much money right now. So
I still believe that Microsoft can just flip a switch when they want though and be like, okay, this like the whatever headset, the
oh
LG
yeah, they'll be able
headset or
to
something
use.
will work on the Xbox now.
Yeah,
I
hopefully
don't
they
think
get
they
it
need
off.
to make their own headset.
No, they that went out the window when they didn't use the fucking Kinect for a VR setup, which would have been amazing. That camera and the fucking Kinect is amazing, and then the audio, the mic is awesome. And then you could use a controller, but you could also just use hand motions, hand gestures, and things. Would have been perfect, but they just decided that VR was too niche, and they're probably right. They still wouldn't have sold, but X amount of. And by that time, Connect had such a dirty name attached to it. They just didn't want nothing to do with it. And people don't understand the reason we don't have VR on Xbox is not because Sony only sold 2 million VR headsets, which is all they sold. I don't think they sold truly 2 million. I think they actually petered out about 1.8, but then they just kept adding to that number like it was more. But they haven't. It's not. They've not sold that many. But that's not the reason why. The reason why is they would have had to use that Xbox Connect, and Microsoft was not going to do that.
Yeah, they'd already put out 2 models of Xbox One that didn't even support it at that point. So
yeah. So there was just no way they were going to use Connect with VR. So they just shit canned all VR plans for now. Again, they may strike up a deal with third party that'll use their headset with the Xbox, and it won't be any big deal. Because definitely, even the One X had the power to run decent VR.
Oh yeah, because I mean, originally that was in the plans. I remember their E3 presentation. They actually talked about VR briefly.
Yeah. What they originally had said was that it could do. He didn't use the word high quality VR, but he used something about the quality being better.
So what have you been playing, man? Like since we talked last?
I have mostly been playing late 90s into the early 2000s horizontal shoot 'em ups.
Oh, nice.
I'm seen that all those were on the damn Switch. So my son has a Switch, and I actually have my own dock for it. We share the Switch itself, but we each have our own dock. But I had him downloaded about 10 or 12 of those things because you just can't get them on the Xbox. What the fuck, Xbox? Come on. You had all those cave games that were on the 360. You didn't make none of them back compat. The hell with that.
Come on. No, come on. I did get I got a physical copy of Raiden 5. I had to get it from Japan though. It works on the Xbox One.
I've got Raiden on the Xbox, but there were so many more. The Switch probably has about 30 something right now.
The Switch is the go-to platform for shoot 'em ups.
But it shouldn't be. There's no reason Xbox shouldn't have went to every one of those companies, and there's one main one, I forget the name of them, that put the majority of those out on the Switch, and just said, "Hey, here's a little bit of money. Let's get these ported over to the Xbox." And even they just sold a handful of copies. It would have more than enough paid for what it cost to port something over like that. Those games none of them are very graphically intensive. Yeah, they look great on the Switch, so they would have looked even better on the Xbox. But Microsoft sometimes just don't care about stuff unless they think it's going to be a big smash, sell X amount. And then again, they'll turn around and do Super Lucky's Tales 2, which I downloaded because it's free. But I only played about 5 minutes of it, and I'm like, no, I'm tired of these little candy-coated sugar games. That's not me. I like to, whip out that chainsaw and start killing people, and they don't got to be adult, so-called third-person over-the-shoulder games like they're on PlayStation, but at the same time, and don't get me wrong, I love the hop and bop games, but no, there's been so many, and they just stop it. Just stop it.
Hey, I mean, you should be excited though. Did you see R-Type Final 2 is coming to the Series
Yeah,
X?
that's what got me really when I like yelled for my son, like, "Hey, you need to download a bunch of these." And yeah,
I've always loved the
forward to
R-Type
that.
series, man. I remember playing R-Type on the Sega Master System when I was a kid. I loved that game, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I broke out my Super Nintendo and my EverDrive and was played the two versions of R-Type on it.
R-Type 3, that game is,
Yeah.
man, that game is hard. But it's
But
a good
it's the
one
best
too, though.
looking one of them and plays.
Oh
the
yeah,
best.
for
Although
sure.
I still like the first one. I also was playing it on the my Turbo Graphics / PC Engine, and yeah, there's an amazing version of it on there. No slowdown.
Going back to that new Super Lucky's Tale, man, you know, something like this probably didn't really bother a lot of people, but it kind of bothered me for whatever reason. And I'm assuming it's because it was actually the Switch version ported to the Xbox this time that they took away the Dolby Atmos support for it. The first Super Lucky's Tale had Dolby Atmos and it sounded great. And this new one just has Dolby, 5.1. It's kind of like a downgrade almost.
I didn't even pay attention when I played it. Like I said, I just downloaded it and then booted it up. And a couple minutes later, I shut it back off and was like, all right, whatever.
They definitely fixed the camera though, and I guess I'll take that trade off because the camera was so bad on the first version of the game.
Well, that's because the first version was a port from a
VR game.
VR game, yeah, on PC. So, and I shouldn't have bitched on that. It's not just that; it's the what's the one? It's on Xbox too, but everybody thinks of it as a PlayStation game. The because it Crash Bandicoot. I was like, really? Did we really? And I'm not saying it's a bad game. I haven't played it, but it looks pretty decent. It looks fine, but it's like, did we really need that? No, we did not. The big one on coming out with PS5. That's like the 15th version of that for those characters.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, it's like, really? It's not been that long since your last one, and I'm not saying they don't look amazing. They do. They honestly do, but do something fucking original. Make an original new platformer game. Quit using the same fucking characters over and over and over. But
if we're being honest,
they get praised and loved for it. But
yeah, those cartoony games don't take a lot of power to make look good either. Nintendo's kind of proven that. I mean, the Switch. Look at Mario Odyssey. That game looks phenomenal. Yeah. You just turn the colors up to 10,000, and there you go. Nothing's realistic. You don't really have to use any kind of crazy lighting effects or any physics or whatever. It's like a Nintendo platformer with a higher resolution and the colors turned up.
Microsoft, I'm hoping they realize that and looked at all the kiddie games that are on the that are going to be on the PlayStation 5, and they know they've got some too, but they know the Switch is just pure sugar and candy, and PlayStation has way too many bubblegum games. But look at all these adult horror games we're getting right off the get-go on the Xbox. It's amazing that they went that way, and I'm kind of happy for that.
Yeah, it's at least making me feel a little bit better about Silent Hill. Looks like it's never coming out now, ever. Because that's another, that's another big series.
Never say never.
Yeah, I would have said that Xbox is never buying Bethesda if you'd asked me 2 months ago. That's for sure. And I would have been dead wrong about that one. That caught me off guard, man. I still haven't really recovered from that. I woke up that morning with all that, and I thought it had to be a BS or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, well, that ain't real. They're not buying anybody that big and spending that much money.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did, and I really hope they keep them off PlayStation. And I know, again, exclusives are stupid, but at the same time, you got to fight fire with fire. And when your competition has done it to you over and over and over. I mean, I'm still mad over Street Fighter 4 not being on Xbox. That was a game that has always been multi-plat. Yet Sony makes it exclusive. Fuck them. All right. That just pissed me off. And there was just no call for that.
That was a head scratcher too. I mean, that's the kind of game that you need to have out there on every platform, because it didn't really do all that well from how I
No, and
understand
they
it.
fixed it and refixed it and refixed it, and they finally got it to a decent playing state, I've heard. Yet nobody's but it still hadn't sold any better. They just people who already owned it kept getting better versions of it. But yeah, it's not sold for shit. And it's their own fault for fucking making it exclusive. You know, but these companies are now owned by Xbox, and those games will be exclusive. And there's no getting around it. You're not getting Starfield on the PlayStation, and everybody's like, oh, they got to put it on as many consoles as they can. No, they don't. It's going to be on plenty. It's going to be on Xbox and it's going to be on PC. And when I say PC, you're getting both the Game Pass subscription money, and you're going to get Steam.
Yep, and don't forget, I mean, it's coming to the cloud too. That's a whole nother platform, really.
Exactly. So they don't need to put it on PlayStation, and I'm kind of glad they're not. It's like, yeah, fuck them. It's like they fucked us with Street Fighter, and so now they're not going to get any of these. I don't even want to say Bethesda, ZeniMax games, because there's so many more. Hell, they're releasing those collections of the Arcane games and Machine, whatever other ones, the Wolfenstein ones, the Doom, and then the Arcane ones.
Prey,
and what's the other one for them? The big ones, For Honor, not For Honor. No, fuck that. Shit.
there's so many, man. You can't even list them.
Yeah, there's like 3 of those, and there's only one Prey, because they're only releasing the new Prey as part of that collection, not the old Prey. But anyway, now those games are actually on the PS4 because they've already been on the PS4, but they're not going to be on the PS5. People better get ready for that shit. I guess in theory you could get those games back compat on the PS5. I don't know if any of those will be in the top 100 or whatever that's part of Sony's little deal. I don't know. I doubt it, because like Prey didn't sell very well, and what it did sell is mostly on the Xbox, to be honest.
I got a feeling that Sony's top 100 is going to be the 100 games that they have a whole bunch of copies sitting at the warehouse of still. It's going to be whatever they want it to be.
Yeah, it's whatever they need it to be. It's mostly going to be their first party, and then a few second party games, and what few third party you're going to get. Yeah, I don't know.
Because, I mean, if you look at the top 100 sold PS4 games, it's pretty much the same as the top 100 sold Xbox One games for the most part.
Yeah.
It's the sports games, it's the Call of Duties, it's the Grand Theft Auto 5, it's Skyrim. That's the other reason why I don't get so, spun up about exclusives, because they've proven that, some of them do sell, but they're not system sellers, though. They really aren't, not anymore. Not since Mario and Sonic have they really been system sellers. But yeah, I'm glad to throw a little bit of shit back in Sony's face finally. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
I just hope they take some of those guys that have been working on Doom and everything, and just put those guys on a jet and fly them straight over to 343.
I don't think they will initially. I think they're going to let 343 try and fix this mess. And then when it gets released, and it's not going to be late next year, it's going to be by the summer. They're close, by the way. Everything I've been hearing on the down low is that it really was supposed to be ready by next month. And so they're not nearly as far off as people think, just because of that one shitty build that they put out there on that show. They had planned to have the graphical upgrades and stuff all done by November 10th. Or that would have been more that would have been about October 20th. It would have had to been gold by, but still, now they've got, they're going to take 2 or 3, 4 more months, whatever. And then by that anniversary, it should be out. And if it's not by the anniversary, it'll be out. I'll still believe by summer.
I think it'll be out February or March, man, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, me too.
They had enough time to kind of put the brakes on all this marketing campaign and everything at this point, but it's just
Let it roll.
it's on everything, man. It's on Chips Ahoy, it's on Sour Patch Kids, it's on Monster Energy drinks, it's at Taco Bell. I mean, Master Chief is everywhere right now. All the toys, Target, the whole Target toy section is Halo Infinite toys right now.
I speak for all them other companies, but now I worked for a big soda company, and yeah, they can't really keep those cans forever. They just don't have the space, so they got to put soda in them and get them out the door. In fact, a lot of them are delivered, just the day they're going to get used, and the can manufacturing plants don't have the space to hold on to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just one thing, maybe I would dismiss it. But did you see that new Taco Bell commercial?
Yeah.
The guy turns into Master Chief or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's everywhere. They're going full. I mean, why would they waste all those millions and millions of dollars on marketing if the game wasn't coming out till next November? Wouldn't make any sense. I don't think anyway.
No, I think it'll be out by March, to be honest.
And if not, we're at least going to have our hands on a beta or something.
Yeah, I could see that happening sometime. Probably not during the initial launch month, but maybe by sometime in December and January they can do a beta and then get the game rolling in March.
I'm pretty sure my hands are going to be full with Assassin's Creed Valhalla like the whole first month anyway. And there's a few other things I want to dabble in some of the stuff that's like Gears 5. I want to try that 120 frames per second mode out on that.
Oh yeah, and since we already own most of that stuff, it doesn't cost anything, and
right.
Excuse me. I want to go back and play the original Gears of War.
Yeah, are they? Is there going to be some Series X upgrades for the first Gears, the Ultimate Edition or whatever they called it?
I don't know. I think because it was already upgraded for that Ultimate Edition, I don't know if we'll get anything more, but I think just the raw power of the machine will give us some upgrades.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's going to look better. That's all I care about, and I'm going to play it on it. And then also, Gears 5 just to do the crazy frame rate.
I kind of got a feeling I'm going to be playing games for about 10 minutes at a time, like the first week, because I'm just going to be like going crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can have 5 or 6 loaded up and just back and forth between them. And then when you're done, throw those off and then load up 4 or 5 more for your next gaming session.
Yeah, I just finished the Mafia Definitive Edition. That game was awesome. I don't know if you got a chance to play that yet.
No, it's not been that long since I've actually played, Mafia 3. But,
I never had played the first Mafia ever. So that was my first time through that game, but I played the other 2 a bunch.
Yeah, I played it a long time ago, and so the graphical upgrade looks pretty amazing, and I'm gonna pick it up. I just hadn't, for whatever reason, hadn't gotten it yet because I don't want all 3 because the third one don't need to be graphically up. It's not actually, but in the second one, I already got back compat, and it looks great as far as I'm concerned. It's the first one that I need, so that's good. I only got to buy the one.
Yeah, I may end up doing the second one. I saw Amazon was selling the digital code for $20, and I almost jumped on it, but I think I could probably get it even cheaper than that if I'm a little more patient. I don't know if I'd have time to get to it right now anyway. I'm trying to play through the Fable trilogy because that's another one that I kind of missed the first go around. So I've made it to Fable 3 now, which by the way is like, if anybody's ever just played the first 2 and kind of got bored, the third one's a whole new ball game. It feels way more modern than the first 2 games.
Yeah, but for some reason I didn't like it. I didn't even like the second one that well. I just liked the first one, and it's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's an OG Xbox game, so it is what it is.
The first one, the story was great, and I really liked it, but it felt very dated, though, definitely. Even though I was playing the Anniversary Edition, it felt like an older game, that could do with a remake or something. The second one I didn't care for really at all. I didn't like the story. It was glitchy, kind of drug on in parts longer than it probably needed to, but So far, the third one, the story is kind of weird. It's very different than the first two, but the gameplay in itself, the core gameplay, I think is actually really good.
Yeah, I think what hurt that game was the the dev guy. I can't even think of his name offhand, but he made all kinds of outlandish statements about what the game would be doing and not doing, or what it would be doing, and then it would get released, and then it wouldn't do half that stuff.
Yeah, gaming kind of went through a phase about that, if you remember, around that time where there was a lot of over promising. Yeah, I don't remember that specifically for Fable 3 because it just wasn't something that was on my radar back then, but I do remember.
Well, it
At
wasn't
that
blown
time,
up all over. The internet wasn't what it is now, so it wasn't blown up like crazy, but it did
right?
people
Yeah.
off. But I didn't care because I never paid attention to anything he was saying anyway. Although not too long ago, well, 3-4 years ago, at some point, I watched a documentary about him. Well, he was actually live interviewed on it, but it was basically talked about his whole career. And my God, he was responsible for a lot of games a long time before he ever hit on the Fables and just straight PC games and stuff.
Yeah, he definitely had a pedigree. That's why he kind of was given a lot of rope to hang himself with, I think.
Yeah. And it's funny, because even on that show, he was talking about his team was working on something and they were going to have it out. And now it's been many years later and they've not released anything. So he's still about the same. He was making promises that he never got fulfilled. But apparently he was talking about even then that he would run into those Playground guys that were already. This was long before Playground was officially announced to do Fable. He had kind of let the cat out of the bag on that little interview. But I guess nobody ever watched that thing or didn't care what he was saying, because I kept telling people, no, I guarantee it's Playground, because the guy that made Fable has said it's the Playground guys. But
well, that rumor, it must have came from somewhere, so it probably was that interview. But yeah, the source didn't really get too much attention, though.
I just know I remember seeing that, and it was like way before it became official. I mean, 2 years before it became official was when I heard him say that he had been. I guess his company was right down the street from the pub where all those Playground guys were drinking at after work, and he specifically said the Playground guys and talking about the new Fable they were working on. So that game may not be quite as far out as people think.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I think that Microsoft at least, and maybe Sony's finally figuring it out, or starting to notice now that you don't really want to put these games out there too far in advance because then people just get too impatient.
Or it'd be like Sony and just lie and say they're coming out and then say it's delayed.
Well, yeah, I mean people can say what they want, but Sony literally had the same E3 presentation 3 years in a row.
Yep.
And it was just, this is the progress we've made. Basically, is all we were getting from them. And I like how Nintendo's been doing it lately. I got to tip my hat to them. I mean, they'll say, guess what? Here's a new game we haven't even talked about yet. It's coming out in 10 days. They did that with that Mario 3D All Stars, and they did it with what was the one before that? It's a big game they did that with. I already forgot what it was, but yeah, they kind of been keeping the lid on everything pretty well. I think everybody else could probably take some notes from them on that one.
Well, that's the way Bethesda's kind of does their thing too.
But do they? Yeah, I like that, man.
They'll
I don't like
announce the game, and
years.
within 6 months, it's usually out. But at the same time, it's games that everybody knew that they were working on anyway. They just hadn't officially stated. And that's what I like. Don't officially state you're coming out with it. Don't give it a date. Just kind of let everybody know it's being worked on, and then 6 months before it's going to be released, then do the official announcement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. And then that keeps from when games do get canned, there's not so much backlash either, because it's going to happen. It happens in movies, it happens in music albums, everything. Sometimes projects just don't work out and you have to go in another direction.
Yeah, even Nintendo shit canned the first version of the new Metroid Prime game, and which I don't want anyway. I don't like first person. I wish they'd go back and do a 2D Metroid 4, but who knows?
Yeah, the Metroid series has kind of been in upheaval for a long time now.
Well, that's because they're not fully behind it. It didn't sell well in Japan, so they tended to shun it.
You think you're going to play some Gears Tactics?
A little bit, not a lot. I'm not a big tactics guy, but I'm going to give that one a try just because it's got a campaign. So yeah, I'll be checking it out.
That's about where I'm at on it too. I'll probably put it on easy and just play through it so I can get the story.
Yeah.
I played it on my laptop, and my laptop was not. It doesn't even have a dedicated GPU, so it wasn't suited for it. But it did run though, and so I
I
played
played
the.
Halo Wars original and 2, and I don't like those kind of games, but I wanted to see, what it was all about and check it out. So, and
Yeah,
I like them doing stuff like that. I think that's great. They need to do stuff like that. Just don't let something like that cause you to delay getting, your mainline game out.
right. Yeah. And I'd love to see some story DLC for Gears 5. I don't know if that's something that'll ever happen, but I would definitely be on board with that. So I don't expect a Gears 6 for a long time.
No, I think there will be. I think before they can move on to something better, they got to finish that. That's their second trilogy, so to speak. So they're going to get. I think they're going to get it out faster than most people think.
You think so?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, I'll take it, man. I'll take
they
it
won't
tomorrow.
pass it because it's just not as nobody cared for the main characters in it now, and so I think they know they just got to finish it and move on before they can, you can't jump to something different. Is what I'm trying to get at until you finish that story.
Oh yeah, for sure. If Gears 6 though, it'd be great if they would, do it where you got a choice to be Kate or Marcus or something like that. Because Marcus was still, pretty prevalent in 5, even though you didn't play as him. He was still there, so it wouldn't be that hard to.
Yeah, but it needs to be played. It needs to be his story and playing as him, but because they did the time jump and with his kid, and now they've ruined it for just doing a straight up Marcus story. So I don't know what maybe they'll go to something entirely different because let's be honest, the people that actually did the original Gears, they're long gone. They're not there. So, and the new people that run it, they do fine. They know how to make great games. They just don't know how to do the good characters. So, yeah.
Yeah, Kate, I feel about the same way about her. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't hate her as much as I do Spartan Locke, but she's up there though.
Yeah, I didn't care for her, but yes, you're right. She's not nearly as bad as Locke.
I think what really makes me hate Locke and Kate though is not even so much them. It's just every time you're playing as them, you're wishing you were somebody else.
Yeah.
So they didn't even get a fair chance, really.
Of putting somebody else as the main character in God of War. I mean, duh. Why would you? So why did Microsoft do that? Come on,
I don't know. They could have done spin-off game. ODST and Reach were great as spin-offs, but not as the main game.
Yeah, when you go and you get that mainline numbered game, you got to do right by your original characters. That's why the millions and millions of people bought those games.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see kids aren't dressing up as Spartan Locke for Halloween.
No. There's, but at least with Kate, there's not been a hashtag kill Kate campaign like there was with Locke.
Right.
I'm one of those. I'm like hashtag kill Locke. And I know they won't. He'll be.
I don't know, man. They might. Did you see that that leaked toy that showed that Elite that wearing his helmet or whatever?
Oh no, I didn't. I don't pay attention to stuff like that.
So they Mega Bloks or whatever said that they came back and said, well, it's not has anything to do with the story of the game necessarily, but they didn't say flat out and kill the rumor either. So I think it could be possible. And
I
man,
just
I would
thought they were
cheer,
doing-
dude. I would stand up and cheer if he died. That might sound
Oh yeah,
horrible, but I would be so happy. I would- That would be like the highlight of the game for me. I just went back and played through 5 again on Legendary, and I just every mission where you're Spartan Lock, it's just like, golly, man, I wish I was Master Chief right now.
yeah. I don't know what they were thinking on that. It's just mind-boggling. Yeah. But
Yeah.
hopefully they've learned their lesson. We know that Master Chief's the main thrust of the new game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can see so far, that's just gonna only guy you're gonna play with, but we'll see, I guess, though.
But again, them trying to make it more open world, and I was afraid just because they called it Infinite that they're trying to make it like Grand Theft Auto 5 or a big ongoing games as a service game, and I'm like, no. There's those games that become super successful like that, like Grand Theft or the little kitty game that everybody plays. I can't even think of what it is.
Fortnite.
Yeah, I didn't really want to say what it was, but anyway.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and throw
those
it out
games
there.
are successes for certain reasons. You can't just take an existing franchise and say, "Oh, we're going to make it into this because we want that kind of success they had." Those games' successes were organic. I mean, Fortnite was originally not that kind of game, by the way. It kind of morphed into that, and because the Epic had the ability to think on their feet and be able to get constant updates out, which 343 has never been able to do quick updates on anything. They're not going to be able to do that. I mean, Sea of Thieves have made that kind of game, but it was built that way from scratch, and even then, it didn't have the responsive updates like Fortnite had.
Yeah.
Something trends, and the next day it's in Fortnite. I mean, they're quick. Epic's on the ball on that. But yeah, why do that? They should have looked at that God of War model and been like, let's make a perfect game and just, we don't even need DLC for this. And you can still do your multiplayer and have a brilliant 30-hour campaign that'll blow people's minds. And that's been my big knock always against Halo and Gears is their campaigns were always too short because they were always more worried about the multiplayer. And
my whole thing is, man, is if they want to do that with Halo, they want to make a games as a service like Infinite game or whatever, fine, but just do both. Give me 100% effort on the campaign and have it stand alone and be great. And then if you want to do all this other stuff on the side, to make your $1 billion or whatever, go for it.
Yeah, bring back some of the original guys, like for Gears of War, and let them do the campaign, and then let your current people do the multiplayer. And they're off.
I love the multiplayer on Halo. Gears of War, though, I've never really been a huge fan. The only reason why I think I even play it is because it's kind of fun to unlock some of the weapons skins and everything. But as far as like getting a thrill out of just playing the game, they don't really do much for me. Halo is another ball game though. I've played thousands of hours of. I still play Halo 3 multiplayer almost every day. I'll jump on there and do a couple of matches. That never gets old to me. It kind of takes me back to sitting in my apartment in college, just playing all day. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. Gaming is definitely going in a new direction. It's so expensive to make these games. You can't really fault them for looking for ways to get residual income out of it. But I'm hoping Game Pass will help with that, though. They should be able to make a lot of narrative-based, good single-player games and get the money from the Game Pass subscriptions instead of having to get it from microtransactions and, DLC paid updates and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see, though. We'll see what happens, but something has to give because they're spending $500 million to make games now and still charging the same price that they were charging for games in the 90s.
Well, hopefully Microsoft keeps their games at 60 and not jump to that 70. That's my belief is what they're going to do. So
I think they will. And at the end of the day, I mean, honestly, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't even care what they charge for them because I'm not paying for them anyway. I'm just getting them off Game Pass.
true. Yeah, I'm the same way, but I still like owning certain games. So there's some stuff, even though it's on Game Pass, I've bought. But going forward, I don't know if I'll keep doing that because it's like I don't know that it makes any sense unless Game Pass goes away someday. But now that they've hit 15 million, I don't see that it's
Game Pass isn't going anywhere, man. It's Netflix. It's here to stay. Sony and Nintendo will have their own versions of it in the next few years, I assume. And if not, I mean, they're going to be in trouble. Maybe not Nintendo as quickly because they have that militant fan base that'll pretty much fork over money for anything. But a lot of Sony people are, they're just one little thing away from being an Xbox person, or they used to be an Xbox person.
Yeah.
Those people aren't as loyal.
Yeah, all the assholes that were on the 360 that jumped to the PS4 I was like, well, good riddance, fuck them. I didn't want them on my system anyway because they're just casuals, but still, I didn't realize how many they were. I guess I should have known. I mean, they were the ones that on the PS3 were like they didn't want to wait a year, and so they ended up getting a 360, and then they got a PS3 much later on once Sony made their third slim version and got the price down reasonable. But they were all still playing Xbox right up until the new consoles came out. But those motherfuckers was like rats on a ship.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they were just.
That was how Xbox got me, though, man. I'll be honest with you. I was PS1 and PS2 all the way, and me and my buddies back then, we played a lot of Madden. That was kind of our go-to game, and the PS3 got pushed back a year, and I didn't want to not have the best version of Madden that year, so I went and bought a 360 on launch day, and my plan was always to sell it and get a PS3 that next year. I just fell in love with the thing, man. Like the ecosystem just
it was
developed me.
Special the way they did all the things they did in that first couple of years.
The first time like an achievement popped up on the screen, I was like, "Whoa, that's cool!" And that's something I could never give up my achievement points, man. Like I couldn't go to PlayStation 5 instead of Xbox, and that's one of the reasons. As silly as it sounds, like that gamer score means something to me. I've been collecting it for what is it now, 15 years, 16 years, something like that since the.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I never cared about that, and I've actually reset my account multiple times at Xbox and started from scratch.
Oh yeah, not me,
I just
man.
had kids, and we had like one adult. Well, I shouldn't call it adult account. One main account that we all three played under. And at times, all the kids didn't like what I named it, and then they just deleted it and reset it up. And I'm like, wow, we just lost all that gamer score. And they didn't care because they didn't care about gamer score. So I didn't really care about it either. But
I feel like gamer score is kind of like an evolution of the first time somebody tried to get their name on a high score on like a Pac-Man machine.
Yeah, it's. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I know how popular it is. I'm just saying I never cared for it. But I was already pretty old by the time the 360 came out and they started doing that. I mean, I was really old. In fact, I was in Korea at the time when that generation started, and then left, and then we came back and was in Korea again at the end of the generation. Towards the end, I actually got back before I was back in the States before the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, but I'd only been back a few months when those consoles dropped.
I was waiting in this line at E3 a couple of years ago to, do a little meet and greet with Phil Spencer, and everybody that came up there, he asked them if they had like an idea or whatever, something they would add to Xbox. And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. Like, I wish you guys would go back and put achievements into the original Xbox games that you made backwards compatible. Man, that'd be really cool, but it's probably more trouble than it's worth, though, and it's not something I expect to ever see, but it would be cool though. And I've heard that Sony has actually added trophy support to some like PS1, PS2 digital games that they've done. So it's possible, at least anyway. But yeah, so anyway, if anybody's listening, I would still love for you to do that, but don't put yourself out to do something, because I'm probably the only person that cares.
Oh no, Al Thor that just plays for Gamerscore.
Yeah,
he's the man with a million. So yeah, there's people that care deeply about that stuff.
It's crazy, man. That it used to be so hard to get achievement points, and now there's people regularly putting up 25,000 in a month or more.
Yeah,
it's got kind of watered down. Yeah, Game Pass has helped with that a little bit, and on the 360, I don't know if you remember, but the arcade games, like the smaller games, only had 200 gamer score, and now everything has 1,000, no matter how small it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say just those like little Neo Geo games, you can rack up 20 to 30,000 just playing those things, and yeah, it's not a big deal.
I've got over 100,000 rewards points right now, so I got enough of those to cash in for a $100 gift card too. So that, if you look at it like how much you're getting paid per hour, it's not worth it, because it's like, it's not even $1 an hour what you end up making. But it's fun though to be able to say, oh, I bought this game with points I got from actually playing games. So it's kind of a little carrot to chase after, I guess.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I can't remember what. It was actually one of those little Neo Geo games. I bought one last week, and I just used points for it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that you can do that.
Of course,
I wish some of this stuff would have been around when I was a kid, when it was, money was harder to come by.
Oh
man, 33 days to go. Can't believe it. It's getting there.
Not quick enough. Well, I'm moving on the 15th, so that kind of splits.
Okay.
Splits everything up. So I'll have a few days of hell there. And
you're just moving across town, or like far away? Okay.
No, just across town.
Cool.
I live out in the middle of nowhere now, and where we're going to move is a lot closer to everything. So.
Ugh, I kind of wish I lived out in the middle of nowhere sometimes.
Well, that's kind of why I did. I was like, well, that'll keep me from going out and drinking and stuff, because you can't drive back from bars and things. But at some point, I just got old and just stopped drinking anyway. And then now I couldn't if I wanted to because of my health. But I don't mind. I mean, I'm 58 now, so it's like I'm pretty old. I don't miss that kind of stuff. But I don't like having to drive 30, 40 minutes to get somewhere, and then it's another 30, 40 minute drive back. And then however long you're there, it just...
that wouldn't be fun.
So now I'll be like 5 minutes from everything. So I'm like, yeah, that's good.
It's pros and cons for sure, yeah. It's always easier to see the cons when you're in the middle of the situation.
I'm just going to rent. I'm not even renting a house. It's just a nice 3-bedroom apartment. It's one of those so-called luxury apartments. So it's pretty nice.
Well, there you go. Get you a fitness center and
it's got like crap.
A pool. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Because nobody wants to see me walk out in just shorts and no shirt on. So yeah, I'm not going to be hanging out at the pool very much. But
that's funny. So you already have your pre-order in, I take it?
Oh yeah. I got mine at GameStop. So
yeah, same here. Paid for the whole thing with trade credit, tax free.
I may still trade in my Pro and my 1X and my OG Xbox One. That's $500, but at the same time, I sold my PS4 pre-order for a lot of money.
Nice.
So I could just use that to pay for the Xbox and a PlayStation down the line.
Yeah, I definitely won't be trading in any of my Xboxes, because all of the ones I have are some kind of special edition, and I'm going to hang on.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I'm thinking now is like I've got the day one Xbox One and I've got the day one OG Xbox. I don't want to trade those in. So I don't want to trade the Pro in either, to be honest, because I don't trust Sony on their back compat stuff. I just get paranoid. I'm going to end up with games that I won't. But I'd probably go ahead and buy a standard PS4 to replace that Pro. Just when it ever hits that 149.99 mark in the next year or two.
They did a PS4 Slim with 3 games last year on Black Friday for $200, and it was God of War, and I can't remember what the other. It was 3 games that people really liked. I can't remember what the other two
Yeah,
were, but so yeah, they'll probably do something like that or even better this year, I would assume.
I hope I don't want it with games because I got most of the better games. I just want the console itself and 150, and I'll order it immediately. And then, but that's if I get rid of my Pro. And I've still got time to decide for sure what I want to do on that.
I'm 100% ready to go, man. A few weeks ago, I got my new home theater receiver in that has the HDMI 2.1 pass through on. That was the last thing I needed. So I got my OLED TV and my everything's HDMI 2.1 ready. So I'm just waiting to plug that Series X in and fire it up. That's all I'm waiting for. And
Yeah, I'm not even running my Xbox through a receiver. I just got a sound bar. But I may drag out an old THX receiver I got, and I've got some Canadian company called Energy. They have some like little cube speakers that are really really nice. Got that piano gloss finish, and
oh, nice.
it's actually high end stuff. It's not, yeah, it's like pretty amazing sounding stuff. And I've got it set up for 7.2. I actually bought a second set of the speakers just so I would have the 7 total speakers and then 2 subwoofers so I could run dual subs with them. And so it's pretty awesome. But I've not even been using those. I just been lazy, been using a sound bar. And now, once like 2 years ago, when I said, we're probably going to move here, so I'm not going to drag that receiver out and hook
That
all
was a
that
good
up.
call.
At one point, I actually bought a Dolby Atmos sound bar that was like over $1,000, and it was only a little bit better than a cheapy $250 LG sound bar that I already owned that had a decent sub with it, and using HDMI as the pass through did not work real well on it. And even though it matched my TV, I got a Samsung. I didn't like it. It did some wacky stuff sometimes when you were changing devices and things because it was running that HDMI through the soundbar, and I just sent it back and hooked that LG one back up, and I've been happy ever since. So just if I want it louder, I'll turn it up a little bit louder. It's just, although that Samsung one was better, I won't deny it was much better. Well, not much better. It was just better than the LG one I got, but it just wasn't worth that kind of money. And it wasn't nearly as good as those Energy speakers I got with the of all things a Kenwood receiver that just happens to be THX certified, and I stopped using it because it don't even have HDMI, but it's got the inputs for 7.1 and for all the speakers and stuff.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I've the only problem I've been having with my receiver is, and the old one did the same thing. It's not really a big issue, I guess, but whenever I turn it on, because everything's set up to, I turn the Xbox on and it all comes on, but it switches the receiver to TV audio instead of being on the source that it needs to be on to run the Xbox. So I have to hit the button on the remote when I first turn it on every time, and it's a minor inconvenience, but I wish I could kind of figure out how to stop it from doing that. I'm sure it's probably an easy fix, but it's almost one of those things where I'm afraid to start tinkering with it and
yeah, I hate
up.
some of them receivers with all the various inputs and things they got. And I got a pretty decent one for my living room, although it don't have Atmos either, but it's got everything else. But and I use dual subs with it and some tower speakers.
It's great though, man. The audio is. I think it's more important than people give it credit for. It adds to the immersion just as much as.
Oh yeah, well, stay with movies too. I mean, you got.
Oh yeah, movies. Sometimes movies even more so. It seems like. I got speakers put in the ceiling in my game room, and I watched that 4K remaster of Saving Private Ryan, and there was bullets flying over my head and planes flying by, and it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to hang speakers on my ceiling, but I'll get the ones eventually where you just put a speaker on top of your towers that aim upward, and same thing for on top of your surrounds in the back.
Yeah, those top firing ones. I actually have those. The clip tower speakers with the top firing things in them. That's what I had at first, and it did the trick. I used that until I finally convinced myself to have somebody come out and put those ceiling speakers in, and yeah, the top firing ones actually do work really well as long as you have the the angle set up right and everything. That's pretty cool. That's cool technology. I sold my old receiver to somebody on OfferUp. So there was about a week where I didn't have a receiver at all, and so I was using Dolby Atmos through my internal TV speakers, and I was actually pretty impressed with how well it kind of tricks you even into thinking that there's surround sound when there's not.
I've got Atmos headphones with the Xbox, and it's pretty amazing. And they're wireless. They sound great. Sometimes I'll, just if I'm up late and want to watch a movie loud, I go with the headphones. That way I don't wake my son up because he has to get up early for work. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. I got the Rig 800 XLs.
Okay. Yeah, I like Rig. I like Rig a lot.
Yeah, that company Planetronics that makes those, they do some pretty decent stuff. When I was an air traffic controller, that's who made the earpiece and microphone hookup things for what that air traffic controllers used back in the day.
Oh, it's good then.
Yeah, it was.
That's a little more important than chatting on a video game. So I'm sure
oddly enough, the microphone just had like a boom that was just a thin, hard shell. I don't think it was actually glass, but it was some kind of super hard plastic, super thin tubo and little metal with a little mesh piece at the end of the metal that took care of the air, so you didn't get any kind of noise. But that slipped on top of a little metal thing that stuck out from the thing and hooked over your ear. And then it just had the single rubber tube that had the ear tip piece at the end of it. It was a pretty simple setup. And then it had like a double plug that you plugged into the console that you were standing in front of. When I say console, not like a video game console, like a gigantic thing run the entire length of the room that had 30 scopes in it, and in front of each scope and each assist position had a place you could plug in, as well as up ahead above. So the supervisor and then another guy that'd be helping out could also plug in. And you had hundreds of channels you could push buttons to switch, and whether you're on certain frequencies. And yeah, it was a lot more complicated, but those things work great.
I wonder who made those intervehicular headsets we used to use in Humvees, because those things the noise canceling was second to none on those. It cut all that sound out. And
yeah, I don't know. I know when they first bought those Humvees in the Air Force, I was at a base that was actually testing them. That was pretty cool. We were like not there for that, but we were just, hey, we need some people to drive these things and help test out. And come on, y'all come now. And so we got to go out onto an obstacle course in Humvees, and it was pretty cool. And we ended up wrecking one and actually fucking up the left side fender over the wheel. Yeah, the guy that brought us out was pissed. And it was like, dude,
hey, that's part of testing them out.
I didn't want to come. I wasn't the one driving, but we were like, hey, we didn't want to come do this.
Those things are made to get the shit beat out of them. That's part of the point.
Yeah. Well, I think what made this a big deal, this was like a pre-production model, and they hadn't actually bought them yet, so they were.
Oh.
Yeah, but they ended up buying them, so I don't guess it mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we went over one hill and got airborne, a couple feet off the ground, and when it hit, it fucked up that left front fender pretty bad. The quarter panel, whatever you call that, the part over the tire.
Right.
Yeah, tore that shit up.
Yeah, hey, remind me later on after we finish this up. I'll send you a funny picture kind of related to that. Something I accidentally did. I had quite a little adventure in one myself.
That was the only time I ever drove one. Was that after they become the regular vehicle? By then, I never was at a unit that actually had one and needed it.
Well, man, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap
No,
up?
man, we went way off track talking about Humvees and stuff, so, which is cool.
Yeah.
No, we're almost hitting 90 minutes, so actually, let's stretch it out another 8 minutes.
Okay.
What else is Cyberpunk, man? Well, you were talking about Valhalla. Cyberpunk's what I'm gonna be jamming on for at least a full month because I'm not a quick gamer. I'm pretty slow on stuff, and so I figure it'll take me about a month before I get through Cyberpunk.
I'm gonna wait on Cyberpunk until that Series X upgrade is officially out.
Well, that was my original plan, but then when they pushed Halo back, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm getting Cyberpunk."
That game
It'll
definitely
still
looks
look
good
better,
though.
and I'll just restart it whenever they get the update. So,
And man, speaking of whoring out something for marketing, man, have they whored out Cyberpunk. You can't go
yeah,
anywhere without seeing. I haven't seen those Rockstar Energy cans yet, though. They're going to have every can gives you $1 of Xbox currency. So I've been kind of on the
I
lookout
don't
for
want to
that.
come off sounding anything negative on it. When you realize at one point they had like 3 hours of gameplay that they said this would not even be in the regular game. So they had a ton of shit that they got scrapped long ago, and then they've only had Keanu Reeves in it for he got shoehorned into it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then 3 years ago they just added him at the last. I think that's not the last second, but still, it was a pretty late character add. I'm thinking there was already a character in there that was doing that, and they just made it look like him. I'm hoping that's the way it was anyway, so it doesn't feel forced.
Hey, anything with Keanu Reeves in it gets a thumbs up for me, though. That guy's king of the world
Yeah,
right
it
now,
was a
as far as
smart
I'm
move for
concerned.
marketing and advertising and stuff.
And it was mutually beneficial too. It helped
Yeah,
his hype even go
oh
up
yeah.
even higher than where it was. I pretty much enjoyed that new Bill and Ted movie too, more than I thought I would.
I
It
didn't
was,
see it. I'll wait until it's on like Netflix or some service like that and then watch it.
that's how I watched it.
Oh,
It
it's
was,
already on there. See, I didn't
yeah,
know.
it went day one. Pretty much every movie's doing that now because so many theaters around the country are still closed.
Yeah, but a lot of them are behind Disney's. Well, actually, I get Disney's thing. I shouldn't.
Yeah, I got that because through Verizon.
Yeah,
I
same
think
here. I get it. But I only get it. I think through December, and then after that, I think sometime in January I got to start paying. But I'm
yeah,
going to.
I don't know what I'll do. I kind of jump around with the streaming services. When there's something I want, I'll do a month or whatever. I try to only have one or two of them at any given time, so I don't waste my
I'm
money.
hoping they don't push back any more of their Disney TV shows because they got no excuse for pushing those back. They're all back filming. The virus shit's not going to keep them from filming. Theaters, I understand why they're pushing stuff back because you can only get half the amount of people in those theaters that you used to be able to.
Right.
And then that's just not enough money for some of these movies. So they keep pushing them back, which is now causing more theaters to say, we're just going to close back down. We can't survive without these big AAA movies. And it's kind of a dog eat dog situation.
I don't know if the movie theaters will ever come back to where they were, honestly. I think we've learned we can kind of live without them.
Yeah, I learned that long ago. I hate going to the movie theater. I mean, I love the big screen and all, but that's why I get big TVs at home. And
Exactly.
it's only a 1080p. I got a 70-inch one in my living room, and I'm probably going to pull the trigger on an 88-inch one here soon. I was going to do it when I moved, but I don't know. We'll see.
88, man. Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah, they got one at Sam's Club that's 4K, but I got to make sure that it's HDMI 2.1. I didn't check on it if it was that.
It probably isn't, man. There's only a handful out there right now. There's a Sony and there's an LG, and There may be one Samsung, but I'm not even sure of that. It's still
This is an
pretty.
LG
Yeah,
that's but
the
it's
LG
not
is
their
only the
LG OLED.
C9
It's their
and the CX are the only two they
yeah,
have that have 2.1.
yeah. So this one may not have it, so I probably won't get it. Then again, I might, because that's not really 2.1 is really only important for gaming. It's not even important for gaming right now. That's for the future.
Yeah.
I'm more about movies and the large screen size. The TV I got now is not 2.1. You know, I could care less. It's 4K. It's curved screen, 55 inch. It's absolutely perfect for gaming. You know, it's a Samsung QLED, but I'm good with it. And the
Well,
truth
man,
is, they could actually turn the HDMI into 2.1 if they wanted to
they
through a
could.
software update, but they're not going to, but they could. Because I know
Uh,
Vizio changed their not to 2.1, but at one point their high end Vizios, which is still not as good as some of the other brands high end, but they did an update one time that actually changed the HDMI.
my last gaming TV that I had before I got the C9 was the Samsung KS8000, and it has this One Connect box that plugs into the TV, and then it has all the HDMI and USB and Ethernet ports on it. And it seems to me it would have been super easy just to sell me a new One Connect box with HDMI 2.1
Yeah, that's what I
ports on
have.
it.
That's
But
the exact model I got and got that thing.
that's a great TV. But
Yeah.
I guess they
That's
just
better than the 2018 and 2019 models. They actually did not do any improvements on those 2 years.
oh yeah, you're right.
And starting with the 2020s, though, they did do some real upgrades.
The 2016 one, the one that I have, it was actually at one time more expensive than the newer ones because people wanted that. That was like the best gaming TV for a while before all this new stuff started coming out. And yeah, it was kind of hard for me to get my hands on one. I finally found it for a decent price on Newegg and got it on there.
Yeah, I just want for size, so I still may end up getting that 88 inch because it's only $1,500 at Sam's Club.
Damn, that's killer.
And it uses a for the screen. It's one of those that'll it's super bright, even like the QLEDs. It's as bright as those QLEDs, but unlike the QLEDs, you can be as far as you want to the right or the left and still get a perfect picture. Although the highest end QLED has that if you get the full backlit array. But yeah, this is, I forget what they call that screen tech. It's in a lot of high end laptops back in the day.
I'm pretty happy with what I got, but I probably could have been happy without it too, if I'm being honest. You know, you always kind of want something.
Yeah, I'm still happy with that 1080p set, to be honest. I probably won't even upgrade to the 88 inch one because I still have, I don't want to say thousands, but now I'm sure I got more than 1,000 DVDs.
Oh, wow.
And then Blu-rays, not nearly as many, but still a lot. And the thing is, you know, I watch regular DVDs on my 4K set, but they don't. Yeah, when you upgrade, when you go all the way from 520p to 4K, that's too big of a jump. Going 1080p to 4K is not that big a deal. Those look great, you know. In
I wouldn't look at
some cases you can barely tell the difference between a 1080p and a 4K disc. Particularly, it's a more modern movie. Those don't benefit the most. Actually, older movies benefit the most because film actually has the true resolution of 4K. What happens in some movies, especially anything from the late 90s all the way through the mid 2000s, to about 2015, 2016, late 90s all the way to the end, they were already using digital cameras, mostly late 90s, early 2000s. They were using that Sony Red Ones. They're not very good cameras by today's standards, but they were back then. But they were doing the special effects will still be done in lesser resolution because it was taking them way too long to render those movies, all the special effects in them. So they were using crappier special effects. At the theater, you couldn't tell the difference. They looked great, but once you got them on video, not quite so good. And if you upscale that shit, it's like, oh fuck, that looks like crap. So a lot of
Yeah.
4K movies, I bought the first edition of that came out on 4K for I'm not putting out that just that one movie because there was a bunch like that, but they're not they're just basically 2K movies that have been upscaled to 4K. They're not true 4K, and they don't look nearly as good as something that's been done in 4K. But a lot of movies don't, particularly science fiction movies, don't get the good remastering so that there will be in true 4K because the special effects were done in 2K. Even if it was shot with a 4K or 6K camera, a lot of stuff's now shot with 8K cameras. But
Well, maybe that explains why that Ghostbusters 4K Blu-ray I got looks so horrible.
Yeah,
that was the worst 4K one I've ever seen.
Yeah, the one with Bruce Willis and the
I See Dead People movie.
No, the one from it's got the chick in it from Run Lola Run. Space thing.
Oh God, I love that movie, Fifth Element.
Fifth Element. That was one of the worst 4K movies imaginable because all of the special effects were done.
Yeah, it's not that great. It's 2K. Way better than Ghostbusters, though.
Yeah, that Ghostbusters one's pretty bad. But again, they did the special effects in 2K. That guy's not a special effects guy. He's a rom-com guy. So he should have never been picked to do that movie anyway. But that's a whole nother topic that just gets you in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm talking about the original Ghostbusters 4K.
Oh.
That one.
I don't have that in 4K. I just have I've got a decent Blu-ray
copy. It's bad, man. It's really bad. The audio and the video is horrible.
They must have just tucked the Blu-ray and just upscaled it.
It looks like they upscaled the VHS. That's what it looks like.
Hey, back in the day, I got Laserdisc still, and a lot of VHSs and or Laserdisc got put on those early DVDs. They just took the straight fucking transfer, and it was like, really, you fucking bastard. I just bought one a couple of weeks ago, a low budget Nam movie that was shot. No, not Nam movie. Never mind. It was a movie shot in the Philippines, but like most movies shot in the Philippines, where they pretend to be someplace else. Like a lot of the Corman picks back in the day.
Right.
This was actually the movie was set in the Philippines, and it had R. Lee Remy in it. It was his first movie. It's a great movie. It's got Jan Michael Vincent in it, who was already having substance abuse problems and things at that time. He's pretty terrible in it, but it's a really good movie. But I ordered the Blu-ray copy of it, and it's just a God bless it fucking VHS transfer on that fucker. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. At least give me a DVD transfer.
Right.
I tell you back, it's not a Blu-ray. It is a DVD, but it's a VHS transfer on it. I mean, you can even see the tape lines and shit in places. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, and the more they upscale it, the worse it looks.
Blu-ray out of it, but it's not on the right region. The Blu-ray's in one of the wrong regions. And that might not be Blu-ray either. That might just be DVD too, but it's not U.S. region. So, and I had a region-free player, but it died recently, so I got to get another one of those. Because I don't have a lot, but I probably have 20 or 30 movies that are in the wrong region. But I never cared because my Blu-ray player that I used was region-free, and it just, like I said, it died not too long ago. And I just been using my Xbox One, which is not region-free for movies. Yeah, I've got to suck it up and buy me a region-free player. But there's a nice Sony one. I think it's only like $130 on Amazon. I'm gonna jump on that.
I wonder if the Series X will be region-free for
movies. It is for games. Yeah.
Well, what about for movies though?
No, movies. Blu-rays will always be region encoded because they're pre-done that way. I mean, it's.
I have
You can get some that are region free. An individual movie that's up to the distributor. They can just set it to 0.
Okay.
But normally it's with Blu-rays, it's A, B, or C. or if it wants to be region free, the distributor can set it to 0. But they have to do that. You can't do it. If it's set to one of the regions, you can't change it. You have to have a region free player. Um, and then DVDs were set region 0 through 9, which was insane to have 9 different regions of the world.
Wow.
But with Blu-rays, it was just 3, and with 4K, there is no region encoding. And just like games are no longer region encoded.
Well, man, you want to plan for same time next week?
Yeah, I like doing this Wednesday afternoon one.
Yeah, I can definitely be here same time next
sweet.
Wednesday.
Yeah, hopefully by then we'll have seen a bunch of first party games for the Xbox and what's our stuff that's actually been something done to them to make them look better, where it's not just the box,
Yeah.
doing it. Because right now we're just seeing stuff that's got uncapped frame rates or variable refresh rates that and those look amazing, and that's really cool. But I want to see something that's actually had a patch done for it and just see how amazing it really can look.
I agree, man. Well, thanks for having me on again.
We're well over an hour and a half now, which is about perfect. So
yeah,
it's all good. And, thanks anybody that tuned in. We got one person watching now, so hopefully we'll pick some viewers up down the road. I've got some invites to some other podcasts, so hopefully once I get on those and keep spreading the word, we'll get some viewers on here. Same thing for my Saturday night show. I hope everybody tunes into that. Same channel on YouTube, Mojo_Blues1. I'm gonna keep doing these, and I will be dropping some videos. I keep saying that, and I just hadn't yet because I'm lazy. But I'm gonna start doing some movie reviews as well as game reviews. I'm just not gonna do in-game footage. I don't have a capture card, and I guess I could use my Xbox to capture footage, but we'll see. I don't know. I think I'll just point the camera at the damn TV and go really low budget on this stuff and just talk about whatever I'm got up. But anyway, what about you, man? Tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, so it's Xbox Superfan on Twitter. That's pretty much the only thing I really do stuff on. I'll be probably putting some stuff on YouTube myself, but just follow Mojo, and I'm usually not too far behind him.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks,
Later.
everybody. Thank you, and we'll do it again next Wednesday. See you, everybody.